Unusual situation, and they've exploited it and made things much worse as usual. Getting close to the big players revealed a lot of other crimes. A lot of this started about 4 years ago with the Safe Streets. About 2.5 years ago, there was a biker club, a one percenter club. I'm not going to name them, but figure it out. And they aren't quite what they used to be. But this particular group had these women that they were already worked with. There were some guys too, but predominantly women. They started sending the women into other one percenter clubs. This club had done it widespread. They sent women in to infiltrate their rivals, other one percenter biker clubs. And then they went a big step forward. They changed everything. They started cooperating with law enforcement because the information they got through these women would go to law enforcement. Law enforcement would then turn around and charge their rival members.
So they were setting them up.
It's the feds screwing everything up. If this had been a legitimate law enforcement investigation where they're investigating, say, a one percenter club or organized crime of some kind and getting intelligence to build a case, great. That's their job. These guys are doing what they do, taking their chance. The law enforcement's doing what they do. Not getting involved. But it's not. They're twisting it around and they're putting people in danger and laughing about it. They think this isn't law enforcement. It's turned into an intelligence operation and it's getting people killed. They don't care. You gotta follow the money in this one. One of the biggest clubs to be hit by this was the Pagans. They were infiltrated by women, one degree or another, and actually a couple of guys as well. And they were girlfriends. Some they trusted, some they would talk around. They were feeding information back to the club that won't be named. And they're going right to law enforcement with it. Now they're handling their business through women and cooperating with law enforcement. But it got even worse. Law enforcement is gobbling it up, and it's going to the feds. But as more and more of the club that won't be named, as they got in trouble, more of them turned into informants, them even more. It didn't take long for the feds to turn around and control this club. They basically spent years trying to infiltrate clubs, get one guy in there, something like that, get somebody into, on the inside. Now they have a whole club that they control. This has given them access to a lot, because it's a long-standing club. The club's had relationships with people in the past, other organizations, very organized situations that they've had, and they're giving them information right and left. It's gotten very bad over the last year under this new administration and new DOJ leadership. The Pagans and the Mongols are the two big targets here on the East Coast. The outlaws have been infiltrated as well. And keep in mind, these are mostly women doing this. This agency is patting themselves on the back, taking billions of dollars for Safe Streets and claiming these multi-month investigations, and they're not. This is how they're getting it. And it's costing people's lives. But they're stirring up trouble between these groups, and for our local law enforcement to deal with, and they're getting hurt. Their job is getting immeasurably more dangerous, and they're not being told what was happening. This federal agency is really screwing things up for the money. They don't do anything that's not political. They're allowing this group, a very large group that they control, they're allowing them to continue doing business. Synergy between this federal agency and this group that they control, and they know that they can't get in trouble. So they're attacking other ones. A pagan leader went to a party. Someone dropped a dime on him, said he had a gun, and he was arrested after that. I think he's taking a plea now. And I said, well, it makes everybody paranoid. This is one of my brothers riding around. They ratted me out. It wasn't. And they kept it out of court. They don't want anybody to know that it was one of the undercover women who was working with a rival gang. Now, right there, that's a little bit biased. That it goes to motive. Did they actually see it? Did they plan it? What did they do? But they keep all that out of court. That would change the entire trial. And then you have some other pagans went to a bar. No problem at all. Went in, had a few beers, came out, and they were attacked. They retaliated, and now they're facing charges. But how did they know they were there? How did they know exactly what time they were leaving? It's one of the women, see? And the rivals who are attacking them, the ones that are controlled, they're not facing jail time. Nobody ever puts them away for it.
Yeah, and they're putting everybody at risk for that as well. I mean, there are so many lives at risk, and people are needlessly dying. They have the information, obviously, this agency, but they're not doing the right thing. Like you said, it's all political. It's so messed up. I mean, this information, thank you for bringing it. I mean,
They've also infiltrated in from California over the Bandidos, the Vagos, out there as well. And here, East Coast was outlaws. And then pagans and the Mongols have been very heavily infiltrated because of this. That's where it started. It's been going on longer. So these would be people they trust. They don't care. That's the problem. They just light the match, light the fuse, and walk away, and whatever happens, happens. And then they say, oh, look how violent they are. When they're the ones that started the whole thing. Then they want to complain that, oh, look at Baltimore. Baltimore's dying. You know they're bringing the stuff in. I got close enough. I can give you the names. I know the shipping routes. I know who's bringing it in. I know where the crap is coming from. I know where the guns are being assembled. I know who's involved. I spent over 2 years doing this stuff, and a year and a half ago I was even able to get in and get a job working within the system, their system, to document everything. This group is so controlled, they're giving up long-time affiliations. They're using it to get into it. Like I said, Chicago, New York, into Jersey, Philly, and then down south. These are the areas they're concentrating on. East Coast up and over to Chicago, and then Texas to California. And under this new administration, under this new DOJ, they're being extremely aggressive. Things have gotten much worse. People have gotten hurt, and law enforcement have gotten hurt because they're not being given all the information. They're being sent in a situation. One of these feds will tip off local law enforcement to pull someone over. They don't tell them who they are, or they'll just tell them, oh, a suspected, gang member. And they pull them over, freaking armed, and they just came from a house where they picked up their, monthly supply or whatever. They got quite a bit of drugs on them, guns. This just happened. This happened actually in Pennsylvania. I think it was Pittsburgh. And no one's asking. It's like, how did they know I just left the house? How did they know when I did my thing? So they're not asking. These are the informants that they have within the rival groups, like the rival guys, like the pagans. This is the people they have in there informing it. And they picked up somebody just left the house. Or, Harry Logan, that's what I call him, Harry Logan. He knows where it's coming from. So as I said, he administers it. And he's at the highest state level, so he's connected right into the Fed, so he knows what's going on. And he knows it's being allowed to come in. He knows that this club is allowed to do their business as they have been. And it's not a problem until it comes in. So he doesn't say anything, but he knows it's coming, where it's coming from, won't do anything because it's profitable, don't want to do anything, and yet he's all too happy to blame black leadership in Baltimore for the problem that he knows originates elsewhere.
We just want to see this end. This goes across party lines. This is a human issue. It has nothing to do with politics, whether you're Democrat or Republican, independent, whatever. We want to save lives. And this information can do that. And there's so much more to go through.
If the clubs are listening, they'll realize it's making sense. It's like, how come, there's the club that's not named will instigate something, and we're the only ones charged. And then you have that club is taking advantage of it, actually, and they're attacking, knowing that they're going to be protected by the feds that are running them. So they're just running people down the street. They're trying to run them off the highway. They'll come up and try to run him off the highway, and then if he doesn't get run off the highway and he retaliates, he goes to prison, and the rest of them don't. So think about it. Think about the situations that have happened, and you'll know what's going on. There was one just recently. I mean, this is just a week or so ago. Things are coming in, like we discussed, from this, business as usual, being allowed in by the feds, coming in, and it's not a problem. Come on in. Free access until it gets to Baltimore, and it goes to a mixed race club. And I won't say their name, but they're pretty infamous. They can figure it out. And it's not a problem until it gets to them, and then here come the arrests. And what was it? It was drugs and ghost guns and firearms that were brought right in, given to them, sold to them, I'm sure, and then set to be distributed. It wasn't a problem coming all the way in. The feds made sure of that until we got right to here. And then guess who gets to deal with all the guns and the drugs and the violence? Local law enforcement. The men and women who are actually on the street every single day. Not the feds sitting in their office, starting crap with the people, making everything much worse. Got everybody at each other's throat.